And the one thing I would just say is we've already been through an episode of Donald Trump trying to get Jimmy Kimmel canceled. And gas is $6 a gallon.
So Jimmy Kimmel just got targeted by Trump for his White House Correspondents' Dinner jokes. And this isn't the first time. John Lovett breaks down Trump's pattern of going after comedians who mock him, plus reveals insider Washington drama from that same weekend. Let's break this down.
As a rule, if J.D. Vance and I are at a party at the same time, either he made a mistake or I made a mistake.
That J.D. Vance line is perfect because it captures something real about Washington's social dynamics. These events are carefully choreographed political theater, and Lovett knows exactly which circles he belongs in versus the official Republican establishment gatherings.
We did a big live show, and then Crooked Media, the company that John and Tommy and I founded that does Pod Save America, we had a big party, but then the goal was for me to get John and Tommy, my straight boys,
right,
to the Grindr party. Because Grindr, you know, the app, had a party, and they've never had a party before. And so I'm trying to get my boys to the Grindr party, all right? And then there's a traffic jam at the Belgian embassy, and we're like, what's going on? And everybody's trying to talk to Gavin Newsom, and some reporter's like, are you trying to talk to Gavin Newsom? I'm like, I'm trying to get my boys to the Grindr party.
This is fascinating because Newsom was already positioning for 2028 even then, working the room at every major Democratic event. Meanwhile, you've got this generational shift where LGBTQ advocacy groups are throwing parties at the same venues as traditional political power brokers.
Gay people have been fighting for 50 years, all right? Marsha P. Johnson threw a brick at the Stonewall riots. And now the gays are running out of alcohol.
That's a brilliant observation about how far LGBTQ rights have come. From Marsha P. Johnson fighting police at Stonewall, to gay organizations hosting mainstream political parties where the biggest problem is running out of drinks, that's generational progress you can measure.
And so all of a sudden I'm in this super intense conversation with the head of the Democratic National Committee because they had written a report about what went wrong in 2024, but didn't release it because it went perfectly. And we're like, we think the report should be released. So I'm in this like kind of a little bit of an intense conversation. And I'm like, I've never seen this kind of passion from this guy before.
This is huge. The DNC commissioned an internal autopsy report on their 2024 losses, but buried it because acknowledging what went wrong would mean admitting their strategy failed. That kind of institutional denial is exactly why Democrats keep repeating the same mistakes.
Now that we've lived under Trump for so long, it's like, you know what? Maybe it's okay that people come together in one room once in a while and talk to each other and have a couple drinks and then go back to fighting again.
That's actually a mature take on Washington culture. The hyper-partisan social segregation of the Trump era has been exhausting, and there's value in preserving some spaces where political opponents can interact as human beings before going back to legitimate policy fights.
No. We were really proud because President Obama was great. He could make fun of himself, he could make fun of the press, he could make fun of Republicans. And now, we didn't yet understand just how much Donald Trump couldn't yet take a joke. But I think we know that now.
Exactly right about Obama versus Trump's temperament. Obama could laugh at himself because he was secure in his authority. Trump's obsession with targeting comedians like the current situation proves he fundamentally can't handle being the target of jokes, which is dangerous for democracy.
When things are tough, you need to be able to make jokes about dark topics, like how you made fun of RFK Jr. for seeming to race ahead of his wife, Cheryl Hines, as if he left her behind. But I think that's really unfair because if the shooter were dead, you only have 30 minutes or so to get that meat in the freezer.
That RFK joke is dark, but exactly the kind of boundary-pushing humor that separates free societies from authoritarian ones. Comedy has always been about testing limits and speaking truths that polite society won't say directly. That's why dictators always target comedians first.
Political violence is incredibly dangerous. It can tear a society apart. There's nothing to be gained from it. I find it gross when people try to defend it, whatever the side, and I think that it's gross when people try to exploit it because what political violence does is it doesn't just try to silence one leader, one powerful person. It tries to silence all of us. It tries to decide something for all of us, and that can't work. We can't allow that to work. So we should be able to denounce it collectively.
This is absolutely the right principle. Political violence attacks democracy itself, not just individual targets. When you try to resolve political disagreements through violence instead of voting and debate, You're rejecting the entire democratic system that protects everyone's rights.
They want to go after everybody because on some level they know that one person who has encouraged so much political violence and has caused so much division and has raised the temperature so high is the president of the United States.
That's the core issue. Trump has spent years normalizing political violence through his rhetoric, then plays victim when comedians make jokes about him. It's classic authoritarian behavior. Escalate tensions, then demand immunity from criticism while silencing opponents.
By the same token, I think it is also wrong when people compare Trump to Hitler or say that MAGA is a bunch of Nazis. Like, I saw that insurrection, okay? Nazis were Hugo Boss.
The Hugo Boss line is comedy gold, but it makes a serious point about proportionality in political criticism. You can condemn January 6th as an attack on democracy without invoking the Holocaust. Precision in language actually makes criticism more effective, not less.
Absolutely. Well, whether it's his job or not, the president does set the tone for the country.
Presidential tone absolutely matters for national discourse. Trump's immediate pivot to attacking comedians after they make jokes proves he's incapable of the basic democratic norm of accepting criticism. That temperament shapes how his supporters interact with political opponents.